more into it. I actually so I played football almost most of my life in college too, and that's kind of what. And I learned wrestling because I went to play football in like NAIA in Iowa, and I learned from like the wrestlers. I used
Okay.
to work out with the wrestlers all the time there. Now they can wrestle really good. I was basically I got beat up for a year and a half over there.
Yep. Yep. We get some pretty badass wrestlers, man. D1s, just collegiate, and those guys, that's all they do. They're just timed so perfectly, and it's really hard to fight from a
Oh yeah.
fighting perspective. But yeah, if you get taken down, what are you getting taken down to? If, a position that's not progressive for them, and into something that's
Yeah,
more
right.
dominant for you. So
All right. All right. All right. I guess we're gonna go ahead and get started.
cool,
All right. So how's your day going?
pretty good, man.
Pretty good. So I always start this out like how did you kind of get into real estate?
It was actually by accident. I was a contractor, and I had met a local RIA group, a real estate investment group that had a and she kind of took me under her wing and said, "I'll teach you this business if you discount your price." I'm like, "All right,
Okay.
that's simple enough." So from there, she started talking about this thing where you could buy these houses, you didn't need a lot of money, or you didn't need any money. And immediately I was like, "Oh my god, here we go, pyramid scheme, bullshit!" Like, totally gonna, I'm trying to bait me for it, right?
Yeah.
So she started explaining this thing called wholesaling, which was just finding people that were in distress sale, right? Off market, wasn't listed, no realtors involved, and then talking to them about what they solving a problem, and then getting that under contract, selling, and that's how you would make your money. So
Mhm.
it didn't take any credit. It took a little bit of money for marketing, a few systems and processes you had to put in place, but I think my first deal I made like 5 grand, and I was like,
Oh
"Holy
wow.
shit, this is real."
So take me through that first deal. How did that like how did you find the deal? How did you she kind of probably helped you with the paperwork side
yeah.
and then the back end.
So I didn't know anything about the paperwork side of it. So everything was, she was the of the We Buy Ugly Homes world. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever heard of that or listeners have,
Yeah,
but
you see them around here all the time.
yep. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much national because it's a franchise, right? It's a national franchise that they
Yeah.
sell ownership in. So she had the paperwork already and was helping me with it. And basically what happened was is I was just out. They call this thing called driving for dollars, where you just go and drive neighborhoods that you've already done the legwork. You know what things are going to sell for. You've got an idea of what worst case rehab is, and you've basically pre-vetted your numbers. So you're skip tracing by actually pulling that information and trying to find that seller's info, which is either a phone number or a mailing address, or you actually physically stop at somebody's property, knock on the door because it's all trashy looking, like tarps on the
Yeah.
windows, overgrown grass, whatever. And that's how it started. I was going door to door through neighborhoods at just crappy houses, and I'd knock on the door, and that's where it started. So
So how old were
got
you
it.
when you did that?
I'm 45 now, so I started in 2010.
Oh, okay. So you started like later in your career like, "Hey, I just got to more or less just figure it out."
Yeah, I was just doing the contracting stuff, and I just didn't like it because I came from background. He was a contractor. It's just a rat race, right? Like you're
Yeah.
constantly. I tell people that you're basically babysitting 50 plus men, right? So, and I didn't like the feeling of always just paycheck to paycheck, all the bullshit. I just didn't like it, right? I didn't like the feeling of
Yeah.
constantly chasing your tail. And really, how it started was me going to that real estate meeting. Was I was trying to jar up more business for my contracting company.
Yeah.
That was how it all started. So if you talk about my progression, I started as a bartender from my 20s and like had a great
Hmm.
run, enjoyed the hell out of it. But then when I got out, I
Yeah.
was like, I don't have a skill. And this was really, like you having to sell things at the bar to shots or beers or specials or whatever. Like I was a salesman, just didn't realize it. So with people, I'm naturally kind of extroverted. So from there, I left that and went into the beer industry because somebody there that was bringing beer in was a rep. And I was like, sure,
Yeah.
I'll go work for him. So I worked for Budweiser for like 6 years. Um,
Oh wow.
Delivery route, got better at sales, got better at, that kind of stuff. And then got out of that, decided, all right, well, now I'm going to, I guess, go start a contracting company. So I started a landscaping company. Ended up getting a good amount of deals there as far as like customers. Um, Ran that for a few years and then ended up coming off of that and doing construction work. People were just like, hey, can you help me with this? Like fence work or, little handyman stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
sure, I'm pretty handy. I can do that stuff. Turned into like a bigger operation construction wise. So I started doing bigger jobs. And then for my and ran that for another 5 years. Um, and then that's kind of what ran me into them. And then that was
Okay.
where I was like, okay, cool. Definitely get the other side.
So who was the person that mentored you, by the way?
Her name was Patty Robertson.
Oh, I love her. So she does a lot of property management around here. I know she used to own the franchise We Buy Ugly Homes.
Yeah.
But did you end up buying that from her?
No, no.
No, you
So
didn't.
I
Okay.
learned just the wholesaling side of it and understanding how to go find the franchise. Um, I think franchises are great, but it's for those people who want to like set up and run and go. I wanted to learn different. I wanted to understand what they were doing in the deep dive,
Yeah.
the KPIs behind it, like all that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, that's. And then my next mentor was an auctioneer. So I kind of stayed under his wing for like 6 months. And I'm really good. Well, back then I was really good with just getting things done online. So he had hired me to go and look at all the properties that were like pre foreclosure, right? Foreclosure list that comes out once a week. All the properties come on it. You had to take all that information. He would old school. He'd cut it out of the paper, like tape it to a piece of paper. You had to write the comps down on it. Like it was super old school.
Yeah.
I mean, even at that time, I was pretty decent in Excel, and I was good at outsourcing, right? So I was online, and I was doing this before we even got to where we are now. And I would train that virtual assistant. I'd record it, and then I'd share it with them, and then they'd go and repeat the same process. So what the work was, I would or each week, I would just delegate to them the night before, and they're on a 12-hour distance because they were in the Philippines. So their difference time, they would do all my work at night, and then I wake up in the morning, it was ready for me. So it got me all my time back that I was going to have to do all that work. So that gave me more time to go do other things.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. So I know a lot of people that are trying to hire VAs, and I feel like their hesitations is because you see online, you see everyone gets scammed, and how do you determine that VA is actually legit or just kind of like a scammer?
So I guess my people that are getting scammed is what is it they're getting scammed out of, and money obviously being the first piece of it. But
Yeah,
what are the expectations for what that person's supposed to do? And do you clearly have something that you've already done and outlined it, meaning a clear defined SOP, standard operating procedure? So that's a military thing, right? Like anybody in the
yeah,
military has a book, a standard operating procedure. They can follow step 1 through 10, and I don't care if you're smart or stupid. If you follow that step, you're going to get it done, right?
mm,
So the person that have that put together to give that person they're hiring to do that job. I would say if
yeah,
people are getting scammed, they probably don't. Um, the hiring side of it, you're going to get so many autoresponders in the beginning, right? So our in the beginning for me, my clear one was I want detailed work. Send it um, at the third paragraph. I want you to change it to this type of font, right? Detailed work. If that didn't eliminate 50% of them, then the final one was I want you to shoot me a 60-second video telling me why I should hire you. And all this did was just weed out bullshit, right? So by
Yeah.
the time I got through all of that, and you get 100 apply, 90% of them didn't do the first two things, much less the video, because
So how are you
people.
finding?
Go ahead.
So how are you finding these people? I know you obviously get probably emails like all of us do, but do you just like source from there, or is there like a site that you found these people on, or?
We use two sites. We use Upwork as one, and we
Okay.
use Fiverr.com as the other one.
Mm, okay, I've heard both of those. Okay, so how much is a VA usually range wise, like
Depending
price
on
wise?
what that VA is doing, our top one's paid like 565. So $5 an hour, 6 hours an hour. Our lowest is paid 4, but their exchange
Mm,
rate for whatever their exchange rate type of what they call it, we paying them 5 is almost like somebody in the U.S. doing it for 20.
okay. So I got asked this question yesterday, because I said I was trying to hire a VA and I was telling them the price I was gonna hire him at. They said, "Oh, isn't that illegal? Because it's like below the minimum wage." What would be your say to that?
I don't think it's
What's your take on
relevant
it?
at all because they're not here in the United States. They're working in another country. So
Oh, okay.
what does that
I
have to
got
do
you. That
with
makes
us?
sense.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
relevant.
I didn't really say anything to him. I was just like, okay. But
Yeah.
I guess so you use them to kind of like automate your wholesale business?
Yes.
Okay.
So wholesaling meaning like what's the most mundane things you have to do to get inbound leads? Clean those lists up and then put them in 2 to 3 different types of system: a mail system,
Yeah.
a text service, and a call service. So a lot of deep minutia to get done, and it's very
Yeah.
time sucking, and it's just not something I'm good at or I want to do. I had to do it in the beginning, but you outsource that 100%. And if you can't outsource
Interesting.
that to start with, just out the very small things that you're bad at. So my first hire was an assistant. My first mentor, or my second mentor, Patty was my first. Bill was my second. Was hire an assistant. You will never be able to grow a business.
Yeah.
100% true. So when I hired her, the game changer. I came into it at like 20 hours a week, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take a swing at this and see what happens. I would probably say in the first, there you are.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, so you were listing the different sites you use. You said the call center. You probably use like a CRM. Do you use like REI Reply or?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'll go back from the way I usually describe this. podio.com is our CRM. Our call system is callrail.com. Um, our text messaging and dialer is our, and then 2 sources we use for comps and pulling information against the property would be batch leads and MLS.
Oh wow. So that's a lot of sites. Look, how much like overhead do you have for all the different sites you have to use?
We run a cost of 26.
Oh my goodness. I am losing you left and right. Yeah. Well, all right, let's just go from there. So you said you're 27,000 a month overhead
Yes.
for all those fees. Oh my goodness. So how much
Let me be specific when you are asking overhead. That includes salary. That's VAs.
Oh, okay.
That is total operating costs to support monthly. And any other
Okay.
biz will tell you that's like pretty damn low for
Yeah.
you're
So
pushing
if
about a.
you're so if your expenses are 27,000, how many touches are you getting to per month from all like touches like direct mail, SMS, um uh calls? How many touches
So
or like how many different leads are you getting?
yeah, so we will get 3 leads a day. That are three, right? Which gets us down to what's that? Three. I forgot the math on this. 3 on 6 days. So that's 18 leads
Oh
on
wow.
4 weeks at 72 leads a month. So,
Dang.
and I think we were saying that we had 5 average, with times 5 was 90 grand in gross income. So
Whew.
$90,000 a month. So
Hmm.
90K times 12 months is 1.1 ish. Um, this year we were trying to shoot for 1.5.
Oh
Um,
wow. I mean,
that breaks
that's
down to,
definitely a good return on investment though.
of course. So 1.5 divided by 12 months, it's 125,000 a month, and we're what 80ish right now. 80 divided by 125. That's a 64% increase that we're trying to hit.
Oh wow.
Screw it. Let's go. Let's like shoot for the
Yeah.
stars.
So
So
even so, you said you're hitting three pillars. What are those three pillars that you're aiming to hit?
the people selling need to timeline, condition, and price. Um, obviously, timeline being when they want to sell by, meaning like, is it in the next? I don't care really the condition, just that there is one. Meaning like I'm not looking for retail stuff.
Yeah.
Not looking for everything's brand new and fixed up and ready, right? Unless it's creative financing, we take over the mortgage. That would make sense.
Hmm.
Um, price, price obviously matters depending on if it's cash today, if it's creative, or if I want to give it to you over time in terms. So as long as two of those pillars are met, if only one is hit, they go into a 2 week follow up.
I got you. So let me ask you, from like when you're pulling lists, let's say like I think I pull off propstream. Say I pull off propstream. What are you looking for like in your search criteria where you send it all out? Are you looking for like vacant, non-owner occupants? Like what are you actually looking for when you make construct your list?
4 that we go after is probate, tax, and divorce. Those are our
Mm.
4.
So you just pile your list on all four of those and you just mass them out after that.
So we stack those lists and allow the 1% to rise to the top. Meaning, if that same address pops on all 4 lists, it's going to go to the top, right? That means like
Yeah.
they hit all 4 problems. It's not that common you hit that, but you at least get out of 4. If I get 3 of those, that's more motivation
Mhm.
than just trying to bang out and possible leads from a list that meets 50% equity ownership and
Yeah.
last mortgage was pulled in 5 years, right? So
I
our
gotcha.
a little bit different than most people. The list stacking has become way more important to us and making things rise to the top instead of going after. Most people go wide. We want to go deep. I want to go
Yeah,
deep
that
problem
makes
line.
sense. Huh. Okay. So, and you mentioned something that I like. That's probably the most interesting topic that everyone that's got going around right now. Is you said taking over existing mortgages.
Yep.
How do you learn that, and what is that exactly for people that maybe are listening and have no idea what that is?
So it's called the existing mortgage, and what that means is that you can literally step into place by taking the deed out of that person's name, but the mortgage stays in their name. And everybody always asks me, like, who the hell would do that? Because then they're liable, but yet they're asset. And what's funny to actually say is there's more people now in today's space and time than there was, I don't know, maybe even 3 years ago. So all the mortgages that are pulled, think about if you can payment, I'll just go for quick numbers. $100,000
Yeah.
owed on the mortgage, and it's a 5% interest rate, or let's just go with it was for the past 5 years, 3%, right? And I'm just going to throw a quick number and say like their monthly payment's $500. Well, I can go in payments behind. Let's say that's 5 grand, and I can give them 5 grand as well. So I'll pay the closing cost. I'll give them money, and then I'll catch them up out of the rears. So now that mortgage is current. I just leave that existing mortgage in place, and then they move out, they get their money, and then I make monthly payments directly to the bank. I'm going to take that
Okay.
same property. I'm either going to turn and rent it out. I'm going to do what's called a lease option / rent to own. Use it like a bridge loan and go in and say, I might have to put 30, 40 grand into it, but I didn't need to get private money or a hard money loan for the 100 grand because I'm using the bank's loan, right?
Oh wow.
So our entire portfolio is owned. About this was actually through Patty.
Yeah.
She said that she owned a lot of these properties this way, and I was like, how? Like, who in the hell give you their mortgage and let you pay it, and the possibility of you screwing up?
Yeah.
So the response to that was this. So it's so simple, but yet pretty damn funny. If you don't do this, what happens to them?
They
They
they get
lose their
foreclosed.
property, they get foreclosed on, wreck their credit, and they get no money at all.
Yeah.
So what's is to go this route and save all that from happening. Because what do you think it's going to be like to try to get a rental property, run your credit, and they see there's a foreclosure on it? So the delivery to that person or the seller is actually beneficial. It's beneficial for you. You're helping both parties out. So yeah, me and my wife own. I think we're at 9 right now. I just sold one off, but we own them all sub finance. Owner either took the paper back or we just took over somebody's mortgage.
So what's the risk to the seller when you do that?
The risk to them is that you stop paying. If you stop,
The risk. Okay.
right back to their situation like it was before. The rebuttal I give to anybody that asks that question from a seller standpoint as well as a learning standpoint is why would you go and invest, let's just say $10,000 money into a property that you didn't have to get the first mortgage for, and you're now in a higher equity position play, right? Because let's say you hold on to it for a year, 2 or 3. One, you've gotten past the short-term capital gains, you're in long-term capital gains, and
Yeah.
you have an asset that has more equity. That equity is at no. Why would you walk away from 5 or 10 grand to not do what you said you were going to do? I just don't understand. Beneficial to the seller that you took over their mortgage because you probably put money into it and got it in a better position and a better place. So now
Yeah.
you're going to give that back to them. So you're going to lose money, and they're going to get a house back in better condition than you took it.
Yeah.
It's
So
actually
you're
better to the
saying
seller.
that if you stop paying, they can basically take the house completely back.
Correct. In our
Okay.
paperwork, it says that they have first right of. We are not able to pay their payments, and we are be considered default. Then they have the right for us to do what's called deed in lieu, which is deed the property back to them at no cost to them, just like we did in the beginning for us. So it was no cost to
Okay.
them, and we paid for all that paperwork. Same thing would be like, okay, if we default on what we said we were going to do for you, the paperwork ahead of time says that this is what we have to do in order to give it back to you. So we can't charge you
Okay.
for that, right? We just have to give it back to you. Well, why would you want to give somebody a house back that you put 10 grand into it? Let's say you rode the ride for 3, got another maybe 5, 15 grand in equity,
Hmm.
right? Like it doesn't make sense to. Actually more beneficial if I default to you as the person I took it over from than it is for me,
Yeah.
right? They're like, yeah, go ahead, screw up, give it back to me in better condition. I'll be pumped.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you. So how do you go about doing that? So I know a lot of people know they hear sub two, they see Pace Mortgage on the internet, so they know what sub two is. So how do you actually go about taking over the property? Like, what's the paperwork involved? Do you just do do you just put subject to existing mortgage and like a tenancy, or how would you go
So
about doing
it's
that?
specific paperwork, just like Pace talks about. He's got his type of documentation that might work for different states. We have the paperwork that works here for Virginia. Um,
Okay.
it's very defined in what the existing mortgage is that's owed today, what the monthly PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is, the account number on the property, paperwork that says that you now have the same rights and permission as the owner, that you're getting over to the bank, that they sign and give you that right. So I don't need to have the person involved anymore.
Yeah.
Um, what else? It's the same type of for any other closing attorney. I think people don't realize that this isn't like a backdoor table kitchen closing. Like this is, it actually says on the HUD, there's a line. The bank sees it and signs off on it that says this property is being taken subject to the existing mortgage. So it's not as secret. It's right out in the open and publicized. Like it's right there. So it's not sneaky. Some people are like, you're doing this know about it. I can't do that. I'm
Yeah.
not, number one, I'm myself in that position, but the attorney that's doing the close is in jeopardy for doing illegal things. So
Yeah. So a lot of people say like when you take over an existing mortgage, basically the bank's just gonna call the loan. So how does the why would the bank not do that? And have you ever had that happen?
so I'll answer the first question, which is why would the bank call the note, and understanding banking and how it works is really important. And two, what was the second? I forgot the second one. I had it and I lost it.
It's like, yeah, have you ever had like a due on sale clause? Like you got this project property subject to, and then like the bank found out and called the loan.
Yep. So yes, there is the ability, because it's on the original deed of trust you took over. It says the bank has the right to call the loan due. The issue that most people don't recognize, the bank is in the business of lending money, not owning houses. That just happens to be a byproduct of what they're doing. They lend money against a house, which is the asset. In the banking
Yeah.
system, if you have a defaulted piece of paper, you can't lend any more of that money out from the fractional lending standpoint. Okay. So why would a bank take a performing note, which allows them to keep lending money, and call it due to where it's now not? Because if you make it non-performing, it's got to come and actually come in so that they can lend it back out. So
Yeah.
banks don't want to call notes due only because of where we're at as far as, not getting into politics, but fractional reserve lending, right? And what money is actually worth in the papers today, which is next to nothing. It's lost its value down to what a dollar was is now 92 cents versus a dollar, right? So it's lost that its buying power. And again, the bank, why does the bank want to call something that's performing on their books due when they
Yeah.
need performing notes, right? So they can sell those notes off to other investors. So the idea that the note is going to do its percentage is very low. Um, I wouldn't even be scared if they did. They'd be like, all right, call it due.
Yeah.
Worst case is you got to pay it up. You go and put a private, because you took over a note that was at a really low rate, at a low interest rate, and the numbers made sense anyway. I wouldn't really
So
care.
So you're buying these houses subject to, but they would still make sense even if they called them. So what if you bought like someone was maybe like on the higher end, had a really low rate, like a 2% like they were. But if
So,
you if they called it, then you're paying like probably like 6-7%, and it may not be a good deal after that.
well, correct. That goes back to what you're underwriting and buying the deal to begin with. Did you underwrite
Yeah.
it correctly, saying that if I did have to come due with this note, it still makes sense, and you would take it down, right? Knowing that
Okay.
the exit strategy would say, yeah, I got a higher rate, but it still makes sense because of its location, maybe its equity position. If you put a little money into it and you put it back on the market, not full blown, but we call wholesale instead of retail.
Yeah.
It's just in between wholesale and retail. So lift it and put it back on the market, get rid of it, and get it off your books. So that's all part of the underwriting in the beginning. If you don't know how to underwrite why you're taking this sub two with the possibility of it do, you shouldn't do it. That's
Yeah.
all part of
I
the
got you.
beginning, knowing numbers.
So let's say, okay, same thing you normally do when you buy a house. You're putting a existing mortgage, boom, you get the house. You're probably putting it. Are you putting it in an LLC? Because I've known some people that say they put it like in a land trust too. Why would you use one and not the other?
So it just depends on what you're trying to do. Like I would say, from a lending capacity to the future protection of the asset. If this is something you want to hold long term, um, versus short term I'd go an LLC. Long term I would go a trust, or something that's, because a trust is not public information, right?
Yeah.
It's not developed by any governing body, right? It's developed by you, and it's developed by an attorney, and it sits in a file cabinet. There's no annual filing to it. There's no dues to it. There's none of that. It puts together, it sits, and that's it. So whatever happens in the background is between you and the attorney that filed that paperwork. Versus an LLC, is constantly being scrutinized, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got to change, if you change your registered agent versus your principal office, that's got to be updated. This is all for legal purposes, right? So to me, it's depending on where you're going with the future of the asset. If I'm short term, I'm gonna LLC it. I might open
Yeah.
up an LLC and do 1 or 3 flips in it, and then I'll shut it down and open up another one. Right? It's so cheap to do that, and at the end of the year for bookkeeping, it's not worth the headache to not do that. It's
Yeah.
also asset protection. You got to look at this as though from a multi-million-dollar level versus a few $100,000 level. So if somebody sues that LLC, how many assets are in it, right? And what's up for grabs is what most people say,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm coming after your LLC for what? Because it owns all of this stuff, and that's what I'm trying to grab. But if I do that and it only owns one LLC, and
Yeah.
I know that problems are coming, you could. I mean, this is literally what attorneys say to do. Like, it's the paper game. I'll bankrupt it. I'll sell all of its assets off to somebody else, and then that's a new LLC. You got to go do everything it takes to get the whole of information on that one. So it's a shell game,
I got you.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like every attorney that ever talks about um, litigation and what they do to like scrutinize LLCs. That's what their job is. That's what there's specific law for just that, to go after people that don't follow the rules inside of their LLC. And then
Hmm.
those attorneys go after them.
So short game LLC, and then long game is a like a trust or a land trust. Um, a reason that I've heard that people use that is because the banks can't see who actually owns the property. Like they put it in the land trust, and then they put the beneficiary as the LLC. Is that kind of what how it all
That's a
works?
way of doing it. That's a way of doing it. I guess my question would be is what when you say the banks can see it, what is that statement for?
I think this is just me talking to a couple people. I think it's the reason they don't want the banks to call the loan, so it's just like an extra step to because they're probably renting it out cash flow because they got that 2% rate. They could probably cash flow way higher if
So it's you're
rather
strictly
than doing it the other
saying the
way.
main reason is for not calling the note due.
Yeah,
Yeah. So again, I wouldn't care about that. I would more care about the tax implementation that would happen than I would about the note being called due. It's easier to file things under an LLC and write everything down as a tax write off and not have to pay income tax or capital gains tax because you ran it like a business like you're supposed to
yeah,
and you wrote everything down, right? Versus you're saying that it's more so for asset protection, which is a long term play,
yeah.
right? So I would be more concerned with the tax implementation more than I am about them calling the note due.
Hmm. So let's say they use the that land trust for like cash flow.
Yeah.
Or actually in general, let's say they do subject to. I've heard one of the reasons banks calls the note due is because they don't get their own insurance on the property. Because let's say the seller takes their name off the insurance and they don't feel like they have to pay the insurance, so they take the insurance off, and the person forgets to put their own insurance.
So one, that would be a default of contract because it says in the contract that the existing insurance has to stay in place, whether that's insurance on the property or mortgage insurance, right? So on the other side of that is you can't claim under that insurance anyway because it's under always have a separate policy on the property or else you have no claim right to it,
Yeah,
right? So if the property burns down and there's an insurance policy, the first person it's going to cover is the first loan position person, right? That's no matter what kind of loan you get, it's going to cover the bank first, right? They're going to cover their ass.
yeah,
Yeah. Following that is what's left for you as the person that possibly had equity into it, which is the person that's on the mortgage, right? It has nothing to do about when they transferred it out. Because remember, the deed is what transfers, not the mortgage. So you have to already have a separate on that property for either your LLC or your trust or whoever is that person holding the deed. Otherwise, you have no claim to it. You have no way
hmm.
of getting any money.
So I guess another one question would be if when you were just starting out doing this, what was kind of your fears and things you didn't know, but you wish you would have known when you first started?
Oh my God. If I had taken the time to get way better at underwriting, understanding comps correctly and doing them right, which I did that way late. I went and finally went to like local appraisers and asked them how they did it and then followed their uh, math, right?
Yeah,
And then just talking and understanding psychological behind sales talk, understanding the human psyche, understanding how people think. Um, you are not selling or buying a house. It's just a byproduct of what you're solving as a problem.
Yeah.
So I would have gotten way better at understanding that than before. When you're younger, you're just like, your house needs this and shit down for that, and this ain't gonna happen, and you're an idiot, or like that kind of talk, right? Not like
Yeah.
that direct, but I was so focused on me and the company and its numbers and doing versus trying to solve the problem of the person I was trying to work with, or we as a company were working with. Our switch on that was as soon as we got, I went to a meeting to learn how to run a business and not just play with it, right?
Yeah.
Not run a job, like run a business, a hobby.
Yeah.
Um, that was the book Traction,
Oh, I love
and
that book.
that kind of got us on the path of like understanding where to go as running the business, right? Um, the meetings, the huddles, the level tens, the rocks, like all the stuff, right? Like all the stuff.
Yeah.
There's the traction thumpers out there, and then there's another one. But so that was my go-to. On that same meeting, we met a guy that had talked about tactics and skills and how you do things and talk. And the one thing that kept coming up was Chris Voss was the author, and the book was Never Split the Difference.
Yeah.
So this guy was, have you heard of this before?
Yeah, he's like an ex FBI interrogator or something like that.
Yeah, so he was a hostage negotiator for the FBI for like 25 years. And all of his tactics that he was using to save lives is the same. It's the same psychological breakdown that the brain uses no matter what it is, and whether it's sales or whether it's saving human lives, right?
Yeah.
So understanding how to do things and say things, and um, they're called mirrors, framing, labeling. There's these type of things, right? So when you're talking to sellers, if you just repeat the last and you do it in a question tone, right? It'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm moving to Florida." So it sounds like you're moving to Florida, and just that little bit almost allows that person to psychologically think like, "Oh, that was a question. I need to answer more." And I didn't really ask a question.
Yeah.
Last three words, and it allows the brain to start opening up the door and start talking, right? Um, little cues, smiling, making people laugh. You know, you get the think about
Yeah.
versus the hard say on the phone is like, "Hey man, called me. I want a number. If you can't give me a number, just get off the phone." And you're like, "Awesome."
Yeah.
7. You're like, "What? 7?" You're like, "Give you a number." I think the number 7 sounds really good right now. And they start
Yeah.
laughing. They're like, "What are you talking about? You missing some zeros?" You're like, "Well, I mean, you said give you a number. You didn't say what the number was. You just said to give you
Yeah.
one." So if we're not on camera now seeing this, but and you're on the phone, you can hear somebody laugh. You can probably tell they're smiling because they're cracking jokes, right? That is a neurological thing that the brain changes its prospecting of like, I'm not angry at this person anymore. I'm laughing because I'm having fun. So that lowers the guard
Yeah.
of when like investor and home seller and you're taking advantage of me and like all this kind of stuff. So once we changed that and got our acquisitions guys to go through that training, it changed our closing ratio. It changed our contact to contract ratio. Just a game changer. I would suggest anybody that's trying to do this take the time to get better at your sales talk. Get better at
Yeah.
listening. You got 2 of these, one of these for a reason, right? So like, shut up and
Yeah.
listen and take notes, because those are what's going to get you the sale. And at any point, this is always another one, that person that's working with you has to trust, like, and believe you and or the company you work with. Everything else is irrelevant. Price usually
Yeah.
goes out the window, right? So we've made offers 30, 40 grand under what other people are offering. And they were like, we just didn't like the way they sounded. We didn't think they were genuine. We thought they were full of shit. We felt like they're gonna drag us in the mud. And there's
Yeah.
little things that help. So I would suggest really understanding how to run a business and then understanding how to talk to people from a sales perspective. That would
Yeah.
have been a game changer years ago for us.
Yeah. So I read two kinds of books. I usually read business books and like psychological books. I love the psychology books because of that. And I think I read the book. It was called, I think it was Flip the Script.
I
And
never
he
heard of that.
talks about, well, I have to, I think I'm pretty sure it's Flip the Script, but it's
Okay.
basically he talks about how people, so basically how we talk to people is
Okay.
not how people receive everything. So how
Right.
people receive thing is like at a very like almost like fight or flight at the very beginning, and you gotta like continue to break down their walls and how to get to people, because it's like if let's say like I answer a phone call right now, and I don't know who it is, my first thing is either like I'm just gonna get mad or I'm just gonna instantly hang up. So it's like how do you break past break past that? And I
Interesting.
think that's what the psychological aspect of that is like. I think it's really cool to learn. And
Love it.
what I think the best book I've ever read on that was like How to Win Friends and Influence People, is like thinking
Great
from the
book.
other person's perspective rather than your own. And that like, even because me as a real estate agent, I've like transformed everything. It's like, hey, like stop thinking about myself. How do I help this person solve? Because I think the book How to Win Friends and Influence People said people are naturally selfish. So if I
Love
show
it.
you a photo of like 20 people, the first person you're gonna see is yourself. And it's
Love it.
like you can't help that. It's natural. So it's like, hey, how do I make this benefit this person?
Yeah,
So I think that's very good you said that, and I fully believe that.
totally agree. Everybody wants to care about themselves and talk about themselves. That's all they care about, right? Let them rock with it.
So
Take the notes.
so when you cold call or you send SMS, you probably get a lot of hate, because I get a lot of hate, and I know you send out a lot. So how do you break past that the barrier of like
Yep.
scammer,
So
scammer, scammer? Like how do you get past that? Because that's a hard barrier to break.
yeah, so this delivery has been one that we've used for years. It does great. Um, ring, ring. Hello. Hey, I'm sorry. I probably have the wrong number here. My name is Sean. I was trying to find the owner of 123 Main Street. Are you familiar with that? Yeah, that's my mom's house. Okay, your mom's house? Again, question, tone
Yeah.
inflection, right? Yeah, my mom's house. Recently just inherited. She passed away. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize this was a thing. What do you want? Again, I'm sorry. My name is Sean. I didn't catch your name. My name is Chris. Okay, Chris. Uh, Local guy trying to buy some houses, fix them up and sell them, put them back on the market, and maybe hold some. Does that even sound like something that might fit you? And what that opening line does is it tells people right out of the gate who we are, what we do, and what we're looking for. Right.
Yeah.
So we are giving all of our qualifications in a questionnaire form that is asking for help from them.
And you're
Right. So
giving the bottom line up front, just right up front.
but I'm always asking for permission. I'm always asking for help. Right. Um, are you familiar with the home? Yes. Um, does it even sound like something that might fit you? I'm giving you the ability to say no. Right.
Yeah.
I'm always asking permission. And if you approach that way and that all the time, the amount of pushback becomes completely.
Hmm.
The other one I tell people we teach is that we use and we teach is that we never ask, and I mean ever. I don't care how many bed, bath, and square footage the house is. I can look all that shit up later. I do not need to ask the seller that question. Not in the first, second, or third connection point we have with them. I don't care if it's phone, email, or text. None of that question gets asked until we've had 3 touches about anything about to do with the property or them. Never ever do I care because you can look all that up. Why do you
Yeah.
need? What year was the home built? Who the fuck knows that? Nobody. Like how many
That's
bed, bath,
true.
and square footage? You sound like every single person that's always calling, asking the same shit. So
Yeah.
if that one little piece sets us off different from everybody else, that'll make us stand out.
Hmm.
So I think that opening line has been one of our massive game changers to no matter defensive, no matter what it is, it's you can't really be defensive to the question because it's always asking for help.
Yeah. So let me ask you, are you the one actually doing that? You said use REI call center. Is it like a voice recording, or is it like some VA doing your script to call, or
So yes is the answer to we don't do the drop VM or whatever that recorded thing is because we found out it was just too testy and illegal. I think text message is about to start to get there because we're starting to get a lot of pushback there's codes kicked out and saying like you didn't meet the right criteria, or had too many opt-outs. Like you're
Like
starting to get to the point where
keywords that
text
get
message is going
flagged.
to be a problem, right? So I don't know, man.
So let me ask you for like the text message aspect of it, because
Yeah,
so I've sent out a bunch of them, and I get every once in a while, I was like, "Hey, this is illegal. I'm going to sue you."
sure.
What? Because don't you have to on the bottom? Don't you have to give people an opt out? Like say, "Hey, text stop to stop this or whatever."
Well, if it's coming from a system, then yes, you have to have that ability. If it's one to one, meaning like you're not on a type of set line, dialer, automatic something, then you probably are going to run into a person to person issue. The other thing is that you're not selling, you're buying.
Yeah.
There's a gray area there, people being like, well, you are selling because you're selling your services to buy their home. I'm like, okay, I think you're squeezing the line on that one. Like,
Yeah.
let me go back and answer the other question for a second. Ours is VAs doing the cold calling. There's an automatic from an AI type scenario on REI reply. We've built out a flow process based on keyword responses will automatically respond back. So I know everybody's in the GPT AI chat game right now, but like we had started this a few
Yeah.
years ago where we had already built that out as a flow process because we had taken all of the responses and then they condensed it down and gotten like the top 41 to 43 words of responses we got, right? So
Mm.
even when some of them come back, they don't make sense because it doesn't it nuance. I think nowadays you can probably change that with the new AI stuff, but
Oh yeah.
so VAs will take care of the cold calling. Text messaging will be the VAs creating it in the system, and then the AI automatic is just as far as like the auto replies. But back to is it illegal? I'm not. I don't care if it's illegal. Like let me say that I'm gonna preference it very carefully. 600 in our system, and we're beating them all the time. And we're constantly seeing people say it's illegal, you can't do it, I'm going to sue you. We actually know two people in Hampton Roads that made a complete business model out of this, right? He business model is he will retain your number, he will retain the text message. I mean, he's got a full automated system how to do all this. He will sue you, he'll write the paperwork, he'll get put in place. It's small claims court, so it's under $5,000. Typically, you got to hire an attorney. He'll settle out of court for $3,000. So he'll make $3,000. He'll hit probably 15 people with that, of which some people will fight it. He'll probably make, I don't know, 10 grand a month just off of that system. He's a piece of shit. Totally.
So he basically so these people that send out his text messages, he goes about, tries to sue them, and he makes $3,000 per
He says,
individual.
I'll sue you for 5 because it's in small claims court, right? It's under the
Yeah.
5, it's right at the 5. So you go to small claims court to fight that lawsuit, it costs about $2,000. So
Yeah.
they'll just settle out of court instead of the 2 that goes to take the fight and then have to pay the 3 and get to the 5. Still paying $3,000. Just go
So
away.
if you had to pay him the $3,000,
No,
so he has to sue
out
you.
of out of principle, I would fight him
Yeah.
because I just don't
I'm petty
sound
like
like
that.
that. Yeah, I just don't. And I would probably get some more people because we all in that world and that in marketing, we've all been like, this guy ever bangs on your door, everybody want to go in on him? You're like, hell yeah, let's go. So you pick the
That's hilarious. But that's super messed up though.
it
Like that's
is
his whole business model, just
a piece of shit. It's a business model. You make money doing it. Attorneys going after people that go to the hospital or ambulance chasers or do probate, and you're a piece of shit for doing it. I'm like,
yeah.
you think what you want to think. I get it, and everybody's gonna have their thought on certain things. I don't feel like probate's bad. We're actually helping people solve problems. Are we capitalize off it because we're pulling information direct from the courthouse? Sure. People might call us and tell us we're a piece of shit for that. We actually have most people ask, how'd you get our information? And we don't tell them that we went directly to the courthouse. We tell them it's a third party because we are paying somebody a third to get the information for us. So
Okay.
we're not lying about it. Hash out how we did it because then you're just looking to get over a hurdle of how'd you get my information? You didn't realize it was public information and it sucked, right? So
Yeah.
again, we're trying to help solve problems.
So you tell them it's a third party because it's really easy to find everyone's information out there. People don't know.
Totally.
It's super easy.
But trying to have that talk with somebody that's in a very fragile state from losing a loved one is not the conversation to have at the moment. When someone
Yeah.
my information and your next 5 minute talk is about how it's all legal and blah blah blah
Yeah.
versus it's just a
Yeah.
third
You're
party.
not.
We pay them and they give us this information. I'm sorry that it happens to be this way, but does this even sound like something we can work with you? Right back to the questionnaire, right? Like
Yeah.
asking for help. Because again,
Just
it's
like
just an
you're
objection.
framing.
Totally. It's just an objection you gotta get past. That's all it is. And if you
Huh.
can't get it past the small block roadblocks that are going to pop up, you'll people in this industry that are trying to do it, you'll never get to it. And if you're taking
Mm.
any of this personal, you need to highly reevaluate the business you're about to get into. It's not
Yeah.
personal. So many
Yeah.
people just lit up after being told no, or somebody sends a text message and like it's like the fourth grade rule of like sticks and stones break my bones. You know, words will never hurt me. Like, dude,
That's
I
funny.
told you you're a piece of shit. Like, so what? Now,
So what's the worst one that someone said to you? Has anyone like came close? Like, wow, that's that hurt.
I think the worst one that got me was, and we didn't realize it until I went back and listened to the recording. And this is funny because either people doing this will poke me with it, or I've had my team poke me with it every now and then when they feel like they can, get under my skin. It was about 3 years, 4 years ago. It was during one of those major hurricanes we had here. Me and my wife were out, and the team was off. Team, like some of those calls will forward to myself, right? So
Yeah.
like somebody calls, we'll have it because other people weren't available. I don't really do that much anymore. So this call came in of this lady and she was super nice and like everything was going good and it was no big problem. And I don't know what happened, but there was a turn in the conversation where she said Shawnee boy. And I don't know why, but man, I'm telling you, Tyler, like I went from nice and everything's good to I'm gonna fucking rip this lady's head off. And I don't know why. Like
You
something
probably you probably didn't do jujitsu that day, so you're feeling the urge.
I don't know, man, but it was like, well, let me tell you what, Shawnee boy. It was just like, all right, what? And it's just all downhill from there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's funny.
that on over the phone. The worst, scariest one that ever happened to me was I went into a house. Um, I think I would like to say I'm pretty well trained with weapons, much our training that I do, but like weapons based, right? I do keep a gun on me if I go into a house if I'm feeling like it's a bad spot. Otherwise, I don't, just for that other piece. I don't want to get taken off of me and used on me.
Yeah.
Um, but I happened to be in a house, going into a spot, which I knew was really sketchy. Walking in the home, just being like, "Hey, anybody here?" No answers, no nothing. Like walking the doors, and sure as shit, man, he had to be hopped up on something because he came out of the closet, like, or came around the corner in the bedroom. He came out of the closet, went to tackle me, and like everything was just immediately fight off, and like it was crazy. It was the scariest moment I've had in like a
Jeez.
long time. And I
So did you
definitely
take
rattled.
over this property and you were just walked in there, and was it like a tenant or
No, it was a squatter. It was a
oh
squatter.
squad? Okay.
He had gotten in the property. Come to find out later on, like people had knew he was there. He was using drugs, whatever. There was needles all over the place, either heroin or something like that. But I mean, the amount of strength coming out of the size of this human being, I've never felt anything like it. Like he was maybe less than 150 pounds, but like felt like 200 was running me over. Um,
Yeah.
it was massive, man. Like small little dude, and was just moving and everything. Even with training, I was still like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like just moving. Um,
Yeah.
it scared the shit out of me. You know what I mean? And I'm used to being attacked. And like, the gym doesn't bother you. You get big bitches coming at you, like whatever. Right? But you're like ready for it.
Yeah.
Um, Probably one of the scariest moments I ever had. And it's just like, God damn. Now when you walk in houses, it's
So
another
I know a
okay.
lot. So I know a lot of cops, and they've said like with like suspects that are like drugged up, it's like they have like a whole new level of strength.
Totally.
It's like he said, I don't know if their adrenaline's hitting or something, but it's like he said, I can't remember. It was like years ago. I don't even think it was in Virginia or somewhere else. I just met someone. He said that they had to tase this person that was on drugs like multiple times to bring him down because he was like wired. They don't know what he was on. He's
Yeah,
on the zombie apocalypse stuff.
we've had some guys that train with us over the years that are FBI, local police, whatever. Um, the weirdest one he said he ever had was he had a guy's arm chicken wing behind him, heard his shoulder snap, and homeboy still rolled out of it like nothing was wrong, and his arm was just like,
That's crazy.
like you got to be on something to not feel that, you know.
Yeah.
And he said he was just, it was crazy to see because I mean I can barely get my shoulder behind me and up just because I have tight shoulders. But he said
Yeah.
he heard the crack of the shoulder and the arm moved up the back, and he let go and was trying to hold him down, and like the guy just turned, and like his arm flailed around, and, like ran off. He's
Jeez.
like, "What is going on?" The
So so bring me back to that scenario that you just talked about, because I know like a lot of people like they're investors and they don't have your training or your skill set. So walking through that door, did you feel like there was like something off going through this like door? Was it like was it was in Portsmouth?
No, this was actually Norfolk when it happened. I think we actually talk about this from, we do a property walkthrough where we train people. They come through once a month. They walk through a house with us for 2 hours. We teach them how to estimate rehab, how to walk through a home to understand where to look for things. And the other big thing we talk about is like entering a house from a safety standpoint, as well as exiting a house from a safety standpoint. Like walking into a home, if somebody's there, asking questions, is anybody else in the house with you? Are any weapons, animals out and about that I need to know? Being very front and forward about asking these questions, right?
Yeah.
I've walked into houses before where there's a 45 sitting on the table with a mag in it and a mag on the table. I've walked in where a full automatic is sitting in the corner and there's a clip on the table. I
So what do
walked
you do in
in,
that scenario? Just like, hey, I
I
left
leave.
some in my car. Like,
No. I tell them, hey, I asked if there was any weapons in here. I'm just not comfortable. So I'd rather talk with you outside from here on out.
yeah.
So we talk to people about that and we teach that, especially from a woman's perspective,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Letting people know, and even a man doesn't mean just because you're a guy doesn't mean you can't get. It's a 35-second thing for you to walk through a door, somebody to close the door, put a bag on you, zip tie you, and throw you in a closet. It's 35 seconds, right? Like
Jeez.
that's something that people need to take very serious, right? So, did you text somebody and let them know that you were going into this home? From a woman's perspective, do you have somebody with you? Do you have somebody that knows where you're at? Are you on a live phone call when you go in? Is your phone on while you're walking around? Like they can hear things, something to be of protection. So we talk about that. But teaching people is really important. I think people need to understand that you walking into a home is about as safe as you walking into a cave that you've never been in before and it's completely dark. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
dark, I don't care if it's light. Like you're walking into a space that you have no knowledge of. So you don't know what could happen. And
Yeah.
most people don't really mean bad, but there's also a lot of fucked up, weird people out there.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think people understand how bad it really gets until it's too late, or they've seen abductions or videos of people getting grabbed, and they just don't realize how bad things can get until it's too late. So I think having that awareness is really important.
So what would be your piece of advice for them? Like if before they walk into a house, like would you say, hey, like call, let someone know you're here? Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
so I say
if
if you ever enter
you're
a home, for anybody that's listening to this, if you ever enter a home and you know it's empty, walking the home is walking the exterior of it first, looking in all the windows, looking to see if anything is open, looking to see anything just looks off, right? It lets you look at the outside of the house and get your awareness of what's going on around it. If that feels comfortable, now you're going to walk into the home. I open the door, leave the door open, and very loudly say, "Hey, I'm here looking at the home, thinking about buying it. Anybody in here?" And then give it a second. Anything happens, maybe that person, there is somebody there, and they scurry out the back door, right? Because they're scared.
yeah,
Or now nothing's happening, and you're okay. You feel comfortable to walk inside. Hey, again, just repeat that time and time again while you're walking through the house. It's constantly one, letting yourself be noticed and aware, as well as you should be comfortable because you're speaking loud, right? People get these jitters because they're not talking and they're like walking around the corner doing this and like they're like,
yeah,
um, we don't ever really go look at homes past sunset. There is no reason to, right? If you're saying
yeah,
it's a time thing and you can't get there, think about the possibility of what could happen just because it's dark, right? Always go look at homes during the day if you can, like no matter what. Doesn't mean nothing great is gonna come out of that. Somebody still nab you and throw you in the corner, but
yeah,
um, being during the day, right? So then walking through the home and constantly saying that, as well as if you're brand new at this, like run your phone with a video, and let that video run. Because if something does happen, and but if somebody does nab you and your phone hits the floor, there's another example of like you text somebody, told them you're going to be there. Maybe they come and you got grabbed, but your phone's still there. If it's able to get into, then hopefully you can see that video and you could hear something or like something like that.
Yeah. Huh.
Just be aware, right? People are so unaware of their space. They're too busy on this, or they're too busy like talking to somebody. And we talk about this from a woman's defense class that we run and we teach, which is when you're walking from building to car, being aware, right? Your head's on
Yeah.
a swivel, you're never on your phone. Um, when you open your car, you're looking through the car, you're looking in the back of it, you're looking obviously where you're going. Sometimes before you even get in the car, you do a complete 360 walk around it, make sure you're not seeing anything open or people hiding, like weird shit. Like there's a bag
Yeah.
next to your car that looks weird, don't get in your car. Right? There's
Yeah.
just all these little things.
I think
So
I saw on the internet like people who like kidnap people. They had like zip ties around their door, and that was supposed to be a signal to like people to come take them. Like so, it's definitely a real thing, and definitely people
yeah,
need to be aware.
I mean,
So
human trafficking is not just kids. It's
yeah,
a lot of different things, right? So I think people that are new need to have that awareness. One of our local guys, Brett Thompson, actually does a class for women that teaches self defense, and it's geared towards realtors. It's really cool. I'm actually thinking about trying to start one myself, but just from like an invested standpoint of how do you walk in a home, and if you do get caught, what reactionary things can you do that you don't have to train every day to do this, but just a crash and cover, or like your hands come up and then you can push yourself back and like kick and like just get out of a situation. Or if somebody nabs you from behind, like what do you do? Like these really tiny things that we take for granted as a martial artist that we do all the time, and other
yeah,
people just probably something small to help them. But yeah, anybody that's getting in this business, anytime you go into a home, realize that that is not your space, that is not your comfort spot. You do not know your surroundings, and you do not know what could possibly happen. Everything is going to go bad. Think about that first, and then everything goes good. You're okay.
so you were saying like, obviously that worst case scenario is where like that one guy attacked you.
Yeah.
So when he attacked you, y'all were rolling. Like,
Like,
how did that happen
how'd that
after
happen?
that?
I was on the second floor. I had come up the steps, and then this is like a two-story home where it's like the three bedrooms upstairs and the hall bath, and there's like a hallway. I had down the right. I had cleared the first bedroom. Second bedroom is where I met him. And as I came into the second bedroom, it's that one that has the closet on the right hand side, and then the rest of the bedrooms to the left, right? So the door opened like this, and he came bawling out of the closet. So as he came out of the closet, it was more of a like run into me. I didn't really feel anything in his hands or anything. It was like a run into me. He didn't try to grab me. He was just trying to bulldoze through me. And it was with so much force, it just like pushed me across the room and like knocked me on my ass. But then it was like, get up. What's happening? What's like, get up to your feet and see what's going on. He was already going down. So I
Okay, so at
wasn't,
least he didn't like try to grapple you at all. At least he was like hit and go.
it was a hit and run. Like it was hit me, get me out of the way, and then get out of the house. Fortunately, like it wasn't
Yeah.
like him trying to route. That's another thing we talk about is just like, what happens? What do you do? Like defense, cover the operating system, and like what's possibly coming, you don't know. Um, and move. Like don't stay in, like don't run at somebody closer. Like get, push, kick, move, get to the side, angles, all that kind of stuff.
So
Um,
I don't know the laws on like concealed carrying when you walk into people's houses. Like that, obviously, it just seems like you probably. I'm not sure if you can actually do that. So,
so
but
you can note with a concealed carry, you can tell somebody you have it, right?
yeah.
But that's the purpose of concealed carry is that you don't have to tell somebody, like you have the permission to carry it because you went through the licensing. Um, Now, here's the part from police and my buddies telling me what happens once you pull that weapon. If your intentions was to brandish slash wave, intimidate, and pull and shoot, you're in the wrong completely, and you are going to jail. Right? You
Oh,
have
so you're saying if you wave or do do anything?
That's considered brandishing a weapon. You cannot do that. That is not allowed. Doesn't matter if you have a concealed weapons permit or not. Like you can't like ghetto style. You can't pull your gun out and be like, "What's up, bitch?" Like, shit doesn't happen. Like, you pull that thing out, and if it's pulled out, it needs to be on its way to use because you were
Yeah,
threatened, your life was in jeopardy, and you were defending yourself, right?
I gotcha.
So you cannot pull that thing out and try to intimidate people with it. Like, if that is found out during the discussion of somebody saying that you guys had this altercation, and they hear that part, you're in the wrong. You're completely in the wrong.
Interesting. So is that the same thing for like your like someone breaks into your house? Is it like
No,
someone?
because then they came into your private property. But
Oh,
it
okay.
has to be, and that one is if their back is turned and leaving, you can't shoot them. It had everything with a hit shot and breach of a house, somebody breaking in, trespassing into your home, is a shot in the front, right? They have to be this direction to you. They have to be facing you, and you turn away, even to the side. I think there's a certain amount of percentage of the way they turn. So after getting through like an entire talk about how you shot them, and they're like they were on their way out, right? Or like, I don't know if you heard this joke. Everybody's like, if you shoot him in the back, drag his ass back in and shoot him in the front. And I'm like, funny but not funny. um,
Uh,
because like you got to play by the rules, right? But
yeah.
yeah, somebody comes in your house and you are defending your house and your personal space and your possessions. It has to be an aggression and towards you. They have to be coming toward you.
Interesting. So we just kind of got way off track, but
I think it's a
I
good
think it's
talk though.
extremely useful.
I think too many
Yeah,
people don't take the time to talk about safety in these houses because they just tell them to go in homes like it's just willy nilly, no big deal. Like I never understood that. Right? When I
yeah,
talk to women, I talk to realtors, men. Like, everybody's got a plan. They think they can fight until they get fucking punched in the mouth.
yeah.
It's all
That's
game.
Mike Tyson's quote. Everyone's got a
Yeah,
plan until they get hit in the face. But
totally.
I think there's been a couple issues. Like, and I'm not sure just specifically Hampton Roads of like people like getting attacked, like going to show a house or something like
Yeah,
that. So it's definitely a real thing, and definitely people need to be
it's
aware. It's
very
not like
real. It's
I'm just
very
gonna
real. I
ignore it
mean,
because I don't want to think about it kind of mentality, which I've
yeah,
known a lot of people have. It's like, oh, if I don't think about it, that won't happen to me.
it's
So
like the ostrich with hand in the head in the sand.
yes, yeah, basically. But so get back to I guess the real estate part. So you did sub two, you do wholesale. Is there anything else you do?
I've done a little bit of lending lately with the money that we
Yeah,
have. We just started that like about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. So we're very picky about who we do it with. It's the guys that we sell our deals to because we
yeah,
can. Either we've sold them deals multiple times, or we're comfortable with them because we've seen their work. We know the validity, or not the validity. We know the ability that if we need to, we can go get money from them later because of the assets that they own.
yeah,
Um, we've done new construction. I did that probably 3 years ago and did a few of them and banged them out. We did a few pop the tops where we took the little 900 square foot houses and went vertical on them and added square foot to them.
yeah,
I jumped in with a developer slash builder. Went out in Chesapeake and found like this one area that just had a bunch of parcels and people that owned them. Teamed up with him. That was pretty cool. I got creative on. He actually taught this to me. Go get me the lots. I'll pay you X amount of dollars per lot. But if I don't pay you all of that up front, I can actually pay more and just let me pay you off as I sell them. So he actually taught me how to record a second deed of trust as my wholesale fee. So if it was, I don't
oh
know, eight
wow.
lots at 80, 10 grand each, it's $80,000. You add another 5 grand on top of that. That's more money. So I recorded that lien position against each house, each parcel.
So where do you find these paperwork at? Because you said specifically there's a specific subject to paperwork. Do you just find it online? You just talk to
From attorneys,
attorneys around here?
from attorneys, they already have all this paperwork. It's very the norm, right?
Yeah,
We're not talking about anything that's not brand new. We're not talking about anything that's like cutting edge. I know it's cutting edge of like being expressed to a lot of people in the industry that's new,
yeah,
but this has been going on for ever. Subto and owner finance has been going on for ages. Um, the paperwork that's used is the same thing. There might be little nuances changed over some different stuff that's changed laws, maybe, but otherwise, all those attorneys have it. It's a plug and play. It literally is a plug and play. Like you're just gonna change this name to this tax ID to this address to this buyer LLC. Like it's very standard stuff.
So for attorneys, do you use specific attorneys? 'Cause I've realized some attorneys don't like understand certain
Yep.
things. So who's it? What attorneys do you use here, and what questions can you ask if you're not in this area to make sure that your attorney has any idea what you're trying to do?
So I would say get with your local RIA group. That would be the first and foremost because that's going to where you're going to find a lot of the people that you need in your team, right? The attorneys that understand wholesaling, creative financing. Go to that RIA group and meet the people there that can point you in the right direction. Don't try to go find it on your own.
Yeah.
The wholesaler, oh, this is another one. Like I went to Ohio recently. We were in Canton, Ohio, to do some deals with a guy. Like we're doing dispo, they're doing acquisitions. I was like, "Do you have anybody that you know of?" And he's like, "No, I'm brand new at it." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I went and Googled "sell my home fast cash in Ohio," and then pulled up Canton, and it had like 3 different ones. So I called him and told him who I was. And I was like, "Hey, I'm the wholesale out of Virginia. I'm trying to do some deals in your area, but I'm trying to find some attorneys. Maybe I can work with you, but I'm trying to make sure I have the right people." And they were open. They were cool shit. Like, yeah, call this person, call that person. We got this
Yeah.
title company. We got that attorney. This one's good with that. That one sucks at that. Like, they were very going back to networking, right? Networking and is your network? Is that how it says? Your net.
So your network is your net worth
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something like
that one.
that.
Yeah. So,
So what attorneys do you use around here? Because I mean,
I got
well,
3 that we use all the time. Coleman and Coleman is in Virginia Beach. We've got Jenny Cologne out in Chesapeake. Um, and then Hanger Law has recently moved down to Virginia Beach, but they operate in Southside Peninsula and up in Richmond.
okay.
So those 3 have done us really well. And here's the other thing I will tell people that are listening to this: find more than one. Find more than one attorney to do closings because if you put all your eggs in one basket and something goes down, man, are you screwed, right?
Yeah.
Um, I've learned this over time, and I've learned it from other people now, to where we will literally bounce our files. Like, okay, that one's got one, go to the next one. That one's got one, go to the next one. Now rotate back, go to the first guy, and we'll just on all of them. And it's been a game changer for us for, I would say, multiple reasons of closing, but just not overwhelming and feeling stuck with just one person that has all of your files. Um, that was another one that I highly suggest. At least get 2 when you start, not just one. Find 2
Yeah.
attorneys.
I've talked to two that know subject to really well, and that's Kaplan and
Yep,
Hanger Law is the main
yep.
two I've
Started
worked
with
with on
Kaplan when
there.
I first got in the game, and he's done really well, and he helped me a shit ton, and he's an awesome dude. He just got
Yeah.
really big really quick, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if you know what you're doing,
yeah,
they
he's a
can do
big
that.
operation, but I still like that kind of like mom and pop feel. I like now that I'm where I'm at in the position I'm in. I like that kind of we'll take care of you feeling instead of just a number. I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of what happened over at LT's, and he's great. I'm not bashing on LT at all. He's a great company, does great business, and I still would love to work with him. I just know where I'm at and what we want as a company. We still want that little more mom and pop feel, and I feel like
Okay.
those other attorneys give us that feeling, whether it's on purpose or whether it's not. I don't care. Like that's a personal thing that I want as a company, and my team enjoys it. So I asked the team, like, "Hey, what's going on? Are we getting issues with certain people? How is
Yeah.
transaction coordinating going down? Are you getting pushed off? Or are you getting responses you need?" We left certain companies because of that. Like, "Sean, I'm having to bug the shit out of getting them to get me my file information." What? What do you mean? And they're like explaining, and me go call and like, "Sean, we're busy." Okay, like that's what you do. It's business. Like we shouldn't be hindered. You should be the
Yeah.
same. The same file gets the same treatment.
I got you. So, what questions would you, if someone just trying to do sub two, just learning, they want to make sure the attorney knows what they do? What questions would they ask to like
To the
make sure that
attorney.
your attorney knows what I guess they're doing about subject to?
To the attorney.
Yeah, to the attorney.
So I would ask, have they done any subject to transactions in the past 90 days? Meaning, like, are they current with today's information and what's happening, right? Can they share the paperwork, whether it's cost or whether that's for free?
Yeah.
And then can they give me references of the last maybe 2 people that he could give my information to that I could talk to and ask questions about them performing for that client
Okay,
and
that's
be
good
very
advice.
direct.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great way. I just know everyone here, so it's kind of easier. But in a
Sure.
new market, that would be extremely hard. You definitely have to get references and stuff like that.
Yep. I mean, taking that real talk, you don't know how they know them, and I'm sure you can probably weed through the bullshit when somebody's like, "They're great, they're awesome," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Sure
Are
about that?"
they?
Yeah. Um, I've done that in multiple different. I've been fortunate enough to run a few different. Like I've had Tennessee, Ohio, Florida, Maryland, Texas. I know right off the top, I know those were like ones that I've done. I don't think I've gone any farther than Midwest. Um,
Yeah.
but I went and did the same thing that I'm telling you, and that I got my best results from it.
So one of the main questions I try to ask every real estate investor is, what do you think about today's market? Do you see like everything going downhill? I know no one's got a crystal ball on what real estate market looks like, but what's your opinion of what's going on?
So
Do you
think
see
that
it?
if you're in the wholesale position, you need to adjust your LTV, and your ARV needs to adjust down by
Yeah.
5% of whatever it is today. So if you run, I did this math yesterday. I was at a meeting doing the same thing. So 250 times 5%. Let's say I'm going to lose 12.5 off of that deal, meaning in nine that 250 won't be there because we're going backwards, right? So 250 minus 12 new ARV is 238. Now I'm going to run my formula from that. So 238 times 65% is 154. And then from there is your minus your rehab, and then minus your wholesale fee, and then your offer. Um,
Oh, okay.
Here's the other part about the loan to value number. Everybody was beating on this for so long, being like it didn't matter. You could sell any deal you wanted. That was true. You could.
Yeah.
We were selling things at 85 and 90% loan to value. It was unreal, right? Like this is my first ride up. It'll be my first fall down, and I'm already pumped to see what we're doing, right? Like
Yeah.
we're starting to get back to the numbers that I saw when I started, but we're seeing a lot of the people that were overpaying starting to slip away, right? Like they can't get funded anymore, or they overspent. Now they can't get the deal sold. Like they don't have the capital.
Yeah.
Um, but most of your hard money lenders, even the big ones like Kiavi, Lending One, Lending Tree, whatever the one is at the moment, those guys are even at 70%, and you still have to have minimal 3 deals under your belt in 90 days, and you have to show a profit of more than $25,000 on your HUD. You have to show that you're profitable.
Mm.
Um, so they're pretty stringent on theirs. Private money lenders, we're writing at 65, and we're requiring 10% of the purchase price of the table. Versus before, it was like you could just let the whole thing ride, and interest would ride until the end of it. That's not happening anymore. You're
Yeah.
getting 10% of purchase. Um, you're paying interest on the way.
Yeah.
So I would tell anybody that they need to adjust their math if you're in the wholesale space, and then flippers need to adjust their math for down. Like we're in a military market, and we're not even getting hit nearly as hard as some of the big
Oh
boys,
yeah.
right? I've heard as high as 20% off of ARV that they're running backwards because the market's crashing so hard and not getting what they need, right? Um,
So what do you think? Do you think the market's gonna like really tank, or are we going into like a hardcore recession? Well, I keep saying recession, but is it like actually even here? So I'm
we're
trying to
already
figure
in a
out.
recession.
Technically,
we're,
yeah.
yeah, we're already technically in a recession. I don't know, man. I try to stay tight to this line, but
Yeah.
if you stay at this, you've already reached the top moment, and it's not gonna go any higher. Great. Do I feel like Chicken Little in the fall sky, or the sky is falling? No.
Yeah.
Like I think if you adjust your numbers like you're supposed to now, and you pivot better than most people are not doing, and they're like ostrich in the head in the sand, right? They're not paying attention to it, or they're bitching and complaining instead of adjusting. Um, then I think everybody be fine. Because I mean, if you look at this, is the other thing that I've learned from all my mentors and current lenders is, I mean, these guys are in their 70s and 80s, right? And they've been through multiple of these cycles. So if they can go from back in the day of the 80s and the 90s at 10 and 12, and we've been babied for the past 3 to 5 years between 2 and 4, and you got people whining about 5, 6, and 7,
Yeah.
you're in for a rude awakening, right? Like this is coming back to the norm, which was just what it wasn't. mean, me and my wife even refied our place at like 2.25. We're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no.
Free money. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's just adjusting with the times and you'll be fine, but you've got to not be the one that says that you're not going to do that and then expect to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, realtors, I think, are going to get pinched really hard. The ones that have had it easy and just put it on MLS and they don't got to do anything. They can go play golf day and like all that kind of shit. That's gone.
Yeah.
That'll wipe those guys out. The ones that want to do the work will stick around. The same thing with the wholesalers. The one that want to do the work and pivot and change will stick around.
Okay.
I'm
So
never
what
going
would
to
be
go
your
against
best
my pick.
what would be your best piece of advice for someone just starting out? Let's say they're willing to do all the work. What would be your best piece of advice for them just starting out, just learning? What would be your best piece of advice for them?
Organization and get with somebody that knows what they're doing. Don't try to go do this on your own. One, there's
Yeah.
way more information out there than when I started for free, right? And really good information. You just have to put it to work. Don't be so concerned about not making all the money up front today. When somebody says they want to split it 50-50 and you're worried about that and missing what you're going to learn through going through the experience, that's
Yeah.
a very bad mindset. Right? It's a really bad mindset to be in. So organization and get with somebody that knows what they're doing and
Okay.
provide, like, when people say like provide value, like, do something to help and stop taking. Stop being
Yeah.
somebody that's always just taking information and being like give, 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 take, take, take. Do something to help somebody else out that's trying to help you. We do this from a coaching platform. We do it from a lending platform. Like, we come from a place of service first. Do that when you try to go work with somebody and actually give a shit about trying to help them genuinely, and you'll get way farther. Too many people are willing to let themselves, their morals, their ethics go completely out the door for $1. It's
Yeah.
horrible. You know what I mean? So be organized, and if you're not, find somebody that is, and then just work with somebody that knows what they're doing. You're gonna take your learning curve way less, way quicker. I'd go back and smack my younger self and be like, get organized quicker, and go find somebody that knows what they're doing quicker than I did,
Yeah.
and go pay them as much as I could or do as much as I could if I didn't have the money to go help them reach their goals, which in return is going to help me reach mine.
Yeah. So you're almost like help as many people as you possibly can, because that's the way it seems like you succeed. You don't really necessarily focus on the top and the money. Say, if I help tons of people, this will make me successful.
The more people that I help ultimately gets me to the goal. Well, two goals for me. One, it's also what is my passion. My passion is giving back, helping. I love that. I like that feeling. It's also coming from my martial art days, right? You train somebody to fight somebody, and then they do something to win that fight slash save themselves. That's cool
Yeah.
because you get to see that they learned and did something. From the business aspect of it, it's the same concept. I'm taking the time to teach somebody to do something. In return, we all are at a pecking order in our journey, whether you call it real estate, fighting, sports. I don't care what it is, right? Everybody's at a different point in their life. The way I've set up this model is if I can teach the person how to find a deal, they're eventually going to rehab it. Well, they're going to need the
Yeah.
money right behind it. So if I can create this whole group that says that they're going to learn how to do it and they do it the way I showed them, and then they need the money to do the rehab, well, I'm here for the money as well as showing you how to do all that. So I'm creating a life cycle that ultimately gets you where you want to be, which is where I want to be eventually, which is just lending money. I don't want to do the rehabs. I don't want to do the day-to-day operation shit. I just want somebody to come to me like, hey, Sean, I need to borrow 100 grand. Cool. 6 months. Here's the term. Here's the interest rate. Later.
Yeah.
Again, again, again. And that's what the life cycle is of investing. I think it's really sad to see people. I wish people understood this, but I think if they stop looking down on what wholesaling is and what it does, just because it doesn't fit your exact what you thought model, it's actually more beneficial to learn that first because it teaches you how to find deals, it teaches you how to run comps, it teaches you how to estimate rehab. And if you're
Yeah.
finding properties at a deep enough discount to turn around and sell it to somebody and make $5, $10, $20,000, you have a problem finding your own deals. So I think it's really sad that people want to just skip that and then go straight to rehabbing and then just get eaten up, right? Just like their day job, they can't do the work. What happens when a pipe busts at your house and you're at work and you got nobody turning the water off?
Yeah.
It's a bad day.
You're
right?
right. Wholesaling does get like a bad rep between a lot of people, especially realtors.
Oh,
Realtors, big time.
well, the
But
reason it gets beat on for the realtors and the reason it gets beat on from other people is because it's so easily said, like all you did was get that under contract and then sell it and make your money.
yeah,
Absolutely wrong. You didn't see all the marketing that went behind it. You didn't see all the systems and processes behind it. You didn't see everything it took to get here where it landed on your plate. And all you had to do was say yes or no. And then you saw the fee and then decided that that's what you thought about they
yeah,
don't understand the process. And the realtors, I feel like if they took the time to understand, which is what we're working on this year, is like we're going to do more realtor reach out and try to explain the process and why our numbers are what they are. What I think is funny is like wholesalers end up knowing more than most realtors in their first year than realtors do business, much less knowledge.
oh yeah,
So
I agree.
if we can transfer that over to you, not make this fighting thing, it kind of like plays on both sides of the field, right? The
Yeah,
broker doesn't want you to know that because then he's not going to make any money off your ass because you're making money off your license, not you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
exactly.
if you go out and do this in an LLC, which is not what you're registered under his brokerage, then you're still applying by the rules, right? They don't want you to do that because they're not making cash. So if you understand how to play that fine line, whole new game, whole new game. And I've had multiple brokers tell me, Sean, I have no interest in you coming in and teaching our realtors any of that for that exact
I
same reason.
mean, you can do it with me. I'll just put it all online, then everyone will know.
There you go. And like I
But
said, it's already out there anyway.
yeah, exactly. But let's say for instance, like okay, you're pretty seem pretty high motor, like you're killing it in all these industries. What really keeps you motivated to keep going?
I like the I like the fun that comes behind it. I like the challenge that comes with
Yeah,
it. Um, I am really big on watching when you teach somebody something and watch it succeed. That's a big thing. It's a personal thing for me, right? Like take everything away from the money.
yeah,
When some their first wholesale deal, we recently just had this happen, and I love it every time because they're like goosebumps. I actually get goosebumps talking about it. When you teach somebody something to do, and I'm not getting biblical, but you teach somebody how to fish instead of giving them a
yeah,
fish, and then they can constantly go do it, right? So I don't know why, but there's this thing inside of me that is just it's this super satisfying thing to watch somebody go from nothing to this drastic jump on this one income piece that like this last guy made $15,000 in like 90 days. That is changing his trajectory of where he's going, right?
oh yeah,
And him as a person has changed, his confidence levels changed, his personal life changed, his relationship with his family's changed, like all this kind of stuff, right? I think that for me is like it's a thing. I don't know how to describe it. I just know that every time I do,
yeah,
it's like it's almost like a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a personal greedy thing that I like to get. Like I love to watch and feel when somebody takes the information you give them and they get it and it works. You're like, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
So
I
I
got
think
you.
that what gives me the drive. And then of course I just want to be done here shortly to where I'll still do that, but you don't have to do it.
Uh-huh.
And then me and my wife can be good to go. Right?
Just
If we want
chilling.
to work, we can. If we don't, we don't. I mean, I think people. Another thing is like life's short. And I hate to sound morbid, but like, goddamn, you don't wake up
Oh
every
yeah,
day and feel like, why did you wake up versus that person didn't, or just you take it for granted, right? And that you're healthy and that you're happy and you have a roof over your head or whatever it is that you can be thankful for, and stop bitching, right? Like,
yeah,
woke up today. Not everything's gonna be fucking roses. I get it, but I think that's the drive. It's watching other people see that you can teach and show, and then just rolling on your own and enjoying life. I mean, you're only here once, man. One
yeah. I think
time.
about that actually all the time. That's like it's kind of like you said, morbid. I really think about like the end all the time. It's like you can't buy back time. It's like when's that day? If you do the math, I'm like, okay, what the life expectancy is like 70 something. The math
Yeah.
between me and I'm 30, it's really not that much time. So I
No.
gotta maximize every moment.
Yeah,
So
dude.
what
It's
really
like
keeps you like getting up every day and grinding? Like what habits do you do that can really like get you up every single day? I know you do jujitsu. Is that when you wake up early in the morning and just do that or
no. So my get up in the morning. I'm not really a big early riser. I've tried to do that, and I really suck at it. I do. I really suck at it. Like I get comfortable with my dogs. I got like, but
Yeah.
then it's not past like 7:30 ish. I'm not up at like 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I'm up at 7. I can get up. I can hang out with my wife, and then I can have my coffee, and then I'm usually reading a book, listening to an audio or something. That's a thing I've got continuously happening. Um, and then your day gets going. Right, you're up and rolling at 9. Depends on if it's summertime. If it's summertime, I'm trying to get down early in the morning to go down and ride, like sunrise sessions. Do a little longboard in the morning, a little relaxing in the water, and then like start
Yeah.
your day. Right. Um, in the wintertime, a little different. I'm not a big cold person, but my wife likes to sit outside, and I'll sit inside and have my coffee, and I'll relax, and I'll try to watch a few things. Um, and then the rest of it's through the day, right? Stopping, eating lunch, taking the dogs for a walk. Again, depends time of the year. Maybe we'll take the dogs down to the beach. Maybe we'll go to the bay. And jujitsu. That is my
Yeah.
must. That is my turn off time. You and I were kind of talking about this before. It's my turn off time. My
Yeah.
head when I walk in that gym, this phone goes down on that desk, and I don't touch it except for if we're playing music and I'm on the music. Like that's the only time I touch it. I don't do work on it. Maybe I'm recording things, but I just get in the moment. And there's a GIF or a meme or whatever, and it's cool as shit. It's this guy where he's like walking on the mat, and he got all this sound all around him, right? He's got like a bunch of noise, and he turns around and does the slap bump, get ready to fight, and everything goes quiet. And you're like, yes, that is exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
As soon as you get ready to get on the mat and you get ready to start a fight with somebody, everything goes on my head. I don't listen to anything. I don't focus on anything except for what's in front of me. And I've learned that if I don't have that, kind of like you were talking about before, like you just have one of those days where you get to train, man,
Yeah.
I'm naturally an angry person. I've got to have an outlet.
That's kind of aggressive. That's kind of like I
Yeah,
am.
I'm naturally an angry, I guess to say aggressive person, but you get that out, and people don't understand that until they do it, and it's awesome.
I
And
feel like
that's
people need that. People need
totally
something like that gets them in shape, something that like works them to death, like kind of keeps them going, and almost kind of humble them in the same aspect.
hell yeah. Like whether it's surfing, whether it's jujitsu, whatever it is for that person, and they find their thing. Just find your thing. I mean, some people are just painting. Whatever it is, it's your thing. You've got to take the time to do it because man, this shit will grind you down. Like I think 2 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night and had like a panic attack because it was just like a bad month, and I was just like, oh my god. And it was just one of those times, right? And I was like, I'd never felt that before. And I was like, I don't ever want to feel this again, ever. Like
Yeah.
this is horrible. And I remember that week, I hadn't trained, I hadn't taken a break. I was just go, 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 and I just didn't turn it off. And it was the worst thing I could ever do. I was like, I will never do that again. So I think if people
Yeah.
can find their outlet, I don't care what it is. Not everybody's meant to fight. Not everybody's meant to paint. Like
Yeah.
one drastic to the next. I don't care. Find your thing, force the time to happen, and make it happen.
I feel like you need that almost for almost even the mental health aspect. Like you need something like you kind of like you can step away from absolutely everything. Like either it's CrossFit, gym, fighting, anything. Just to like it's just you, and you just kind of forget about pretty much all about life.
Yeah,
So I
totally
think
agree.
that's definitely a big key too.
If people can
But
remember that, as far as like getting in the industry, like you said before, like being organized, find somebody to work with that's already taken the hard road, and you're going to learn from their mistakes. And then I hate the word using like life balance, but it's really hard to do, right? When you're an entrepreneur,
oh yeah,
it's very lonely. It's very, even though you have a team, it's solo because everybody's kind of looking to you. You can change that. You can build a team based off of your core values. You can build people that you want to work with, right? And if they don't embody the same core values, you need to have some to begin with. And if you hire, you need to
yeah,
hire off of that. Because if you don't, you're just letting poison into your well. And that's just going to run over into the rest of your life, right? And I had that happen multiple times because
yeah.
I skirted or I decided not to listen to my own rules. And I said I'd try something. And every time I did it, it bit me in the ass. And my wife and I have those talks all the time. Like, should have done that, right? I fucking know.
Yeah.
Should
So
have
I
done
know I've taken a lot of your time, but I know so for like even the leadership aspect, you leading people, how do you like a lot of people are scared to do that. Let's say, hey, I don't want to hire anything. It's like responsibility. It's like how do you like almost get past that and just like believe in yourself?
How did
So I
you
feel like
feel about it?
that's a lot of people nowadays. It's like they're afraid to take that step because maybe they don't believe in themselves or believe they
I
can do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a deeper, without getting into like hippie, holistic sounding kind of like weird. Um,
Yeah,
you've got to like look inside yourself and realize like maybe there's some internal things you need to adjust of why you're scared to do this.
yeah,
Why is there something in your past that I don't know. I I could say things you could get deep rooted in, like, oh, you got raised like this, or your dad was that, or your mom was this, and like I can blame then. Well, you can only do that for so long. And then you got to
yeah,
turn that shit off and take ownership of it, right? So I would say if people have that feeling, they got to look a little side themselves. They got to pay attention to what's in front of you and causing you to not do it. Everybody's scared of something, but there's something from your past that caused that.
yeah,
I take a lot of things personal, right? Like information and they don't use it or they don't do it. And I'm like, what
yeah.
are you fucking stupid? Like, why would you not? Like, I don't understand it. So now, like, why are you not doing this, right? And me and my wife will tell me, she's like, Sean, why are you taking it so personal? Just relax. You gave it to them. They don't
Oh my
use it. So
gosh,
what? And I'm like, but
that's
why would you not? Like that kind of thing.
yeah.
So
I do
I,
that too. I'm like low key petty. Like I tell someone this and they ask for it, and I was like, hey, like, and then they do something completely opposite, and it turns out really bad.
why'd you
I was
ask?
like, what are you talking about? You just asked.
Yeah.
So
So I think it's
and I'm
more,
petty. I kind of it's my one of my issues. I'm like low key petty about things.
yep.
I'm like, come on,
But recognize
but
it. It's good, right? You recognize it, so you know it. Now you're just gonna stop it. So I would tell people if they don't want to take the leap of faith, there's something behind them that's maybe it's fans do it or they're gonna fail.
yeah,
There's friends that are they really your friends if they're not trying to back you or they're not willing to like say, hey, take the leap and shit might fall apart, but what if it doesn't?
yeah,
Like it could blow up. So I think it's probably more internal, something they need to think about and like really address. Otherwise, worst case is you jump and it doesn't open. You
yeah.
hit the floor and like you start with something else.
Hey, at least you failed, and it'll be a good story.
Fail forward. I tell guys
Yeah,
that all the time at the gym, and I tell them in this business: if you're gonna fail, at least fail falling forward. Don't fall backwards. Fall forward into something, and like if you fuck it up, so what? Then you have the ability to fall down, get up, and try again. And that's inside of you. Back to the whole like internal thing. What's the worst case? You
yeah,
got jacked up, dust off, pick shit up, roll. Like get it done.
yeah. I was gonna ask you for last piece of advice, but I mean that's pretty good last piece of advice right there. So,
Pick
but
yourself
I know
up, dust yourself
I know I've
off.
taken a lot of your time, but I really appreciate you